Hey guys, I am here with Sunflower Bulldog to talk a little bit more today about multiplication rules and patterns. So, the commutative property that we've been practicing is like flip-flopping those numbers. And when we talked about how commute means to travel from one place to another on a regular basis. So 8 times 3, if we're going that way, we can go backwards 3 times 8, which still would give us 24. Now the associative property, we've talked also about how we can use the same factors, 5, 2, and 8, and we can solve them different ways, and you'll get the same exact product, which would equal 80. So you can do 5 times 2 first, and then multiply times 8, which is easier for me, or you can do 2 times 8 and multiply that times 5. We also have the distributive property. Now, at first this was like, what in the world? But we talked a little bit about how distribute means to give out, sort of like how Granny distributes gifts at Christmas time, right? So distributive property is a multiplication fact that can be decomposed or given out into the sum of two smaller facts. So the distributive property, we actually are adding as well a little bit. So we have that plus sign. Okay, and we're just breaking apart that 7 into the 5 and the 2. We're still multiplying 7 times 4. We're just doing 5 times 4 and 2 times 4. And then don't forget, once you do 5 times 4 and 2 times 4, you have to add those together to get that total. All right, so today we're going to talk a little bit more about identifying patterns. And a pattern is an ordered set of numbers, shapes, or objects. There are many different kinds of patterns in this world. Some patterns increase, and that's when we're going to add, and some patterns decrease when we subtract. And an odd number, remember this from the beginning of the year, an odd number is 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 are odd numbers all the time. And we also have our even numbers, which are 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. Even numbers are really great. So if we take a look at these tiles, we can describe the pattern. We see that there is 2, then 4, then 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So we look for a pattern. I usually start at the smaller number, 2, and I count on until I get to 4. So I think 2 in my head and count on 2, 3, 4. So it looks like I am adding 2 to each of those numbers. We can also use a times table chart to also find different parts that are shaded and find different patterns. So if we look at 2 times 1 equals 2, so we're looking at 2 times 1, which equals 2. If we look at 8 times 2, we can go down to 8 times 2, which is 16. Okay? We can also do 4 times 2. So there's 4, and there's my 2. That's 8. Okay? So if you look at those set of factors that are right here, except for zeros in each set, either one or both of the factors are even numbers. So what we can do is we can analyze the products. All of the products are even numbers. If at least one factor is an even number, the product will be even. So when one factor is an even number, the product is an even number. So we talked about that today a little bit yesterday during MTSS. When you multiply an odd number times an odd number, that's the only time you'll get an odd number. Every other time that you multiply even times an even number, you'll get an even number. Or, sorry, that end got cut off a little bit. Or we can do an odd number times an even number, and that's also going to be even as well. And you can use this numbers chart to help you see those different patterns. So the biggest key when we multiply, the only way we're going to get an odd number as a product is if the both factors are odd. So looking at this example, what pattern was used to make the list below? We have 17, 14, 11, 8, and 5. I notice that I'm going down, so I'm going to have to subtract something, okay? So I think 17 in my head, and I count down, 17, 16, 15, 14. So it looks like I'm subtracting 3. Double check it, 14, 13, 12, 11. Yes, so I am going to subtract 3. So my rule would be that I was going to subtract 3 to make the list of numbers. And then here's a partial multiplication table that's shown below. I want you to look at those shaded parts in the rows. What pattern do you see? So we're going to look at, let's go ahead and look at the 3's. We're going to go ahead and list the factors for one whole row. So I have 3 times 0 equals 0. 3 times 1 equals 3. 3 times 2 equals 6. 3 times 3 equals 9. And we would continue listing all of them up till you get till 3 times 10. So it says, look at each set of factors. What do you notice about each set of factors? So over here, if both numbers are odd, the product is odd. And so it says analyze the products. What do you notice about the products? If the products are even, I noticed that they have at least one even factor. Okay, sorry, I didn't write small enough. And then finally, when two factors are odd numbers, the product is an odd number, right? And if one factor is an odd number and the other factor is even, we know that that is going to be an even number too. All right, go ahead and practice some patterns and some of the properties that we've been working on in Schoology. We'll continue practicing together in class tomorrow. Great job today, guys.